Today, I'm going to show you guys how one copy of Noroi in a pure K9 build can fetch into the combo of Mjolnir. Yes, it is possible. I have the lines. I've noticed that people have been searching for it for some time now. I'm going to showcase to you guys the lines. Is it worth doing? In my opinion, if you're going to be locking your opponent out and you get to check their hand first, sacrificing some cards on the board to push it out is totally worth it. Most of the modern meta decks, they can't play when they don't build a board. If they fail to build a board, you're gonna OTK them, and K9, a pure build, has the correct tools within the quick play spells and the trap card. That's all I'm gonna say without too many spoilers. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell, share this video if you guys want to turn Yu-Gi-Oh into more of a game of a die roll where you're just hucking hammers and locking people out. And let's get to it. We're back to a 40 card deck in pure K9, and I love it because I'm the type of person that would brick on pre-prep. It's the one card, I'll draw the mirror, and then I'll draw like 2 copies of pre-prep, and now I'm just playing with a 2-card hand. That's the type of person I am, so I need to play a consistent 40 card deck. I don't mind seeing Mjolnir in my hand because if I have it, that means I can just do the Mjolnir combo with a Jokul. I also really like Dark Lady because I don't know why people aren't playing this more often. Maybe people are playing it, but I'm playing it for the reason that it provides me with the additional negate, and it sets up the Jokul so nicely that this is also searchable with 7 Tachyon. I'm choosing to max out on the ability to set up negates really early on, and it also kind of provides me with a little bit of a troll check. But if you start off with Jokul and Dark Lady, they're getting Mjolnir lock. But hey, that's just one of the plays. And the last one of is going to be Lupus. My focus in this video, especially on the combo side, so if you guys want to skip to the combo, just watch me do the 1-card Noroi combo into Mjolnir. Feel free to do so. A lot of it has to do with the extra deck, so that's kind of the baseline here. If your opponent's not letting you play, you don't let them play as well. This is searchable with 7 Tachyon, searchable with 7 Tachyon, so there's that. Then there's triple copies of Noroi. Okay, a disclaimer here. You don't always have to do Mjolnir combo. If you see that the Mjolnir combo is basically not possible, don't do it. You can check your opponent and build what you need. Half the time you're winning with K9, it's not because you Mjolnir combo. Okay, it is probably Mjolnir combo, but I would say it's because of the trap cards and the quick play spells. I'm playing one of each. I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, this is what you're trying to play for. As for the rest of the deck, it's triple Jokul. It's triple Jokul. Okay. And then we have triple Lantern. I'm playing 3 Lanterns. This is a pure K9 build. You need as many names as you can, and it's also a decent starter that searches out the spell, so it's not too bad. Triple Izuna, the in-engine hand trap, and that's about it for the stuff that's in-engine main deck. I play 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is for, I think, 3 targets. It could be any of the names for 1 if you have Lantern already in hand. No, I guess it's typically Jokul. But also, if your opponent hits you with a hand trap to the point you can't play, it lets you throw Lupus into the graveyard and just summon Lupus out and at least make something against your opponent. And so Foolish Burial is also for, of course, the card in question, the Mjolnir as well. So there's 3 things that you can really throw into the graveyard for that. And then there is 7 Tachyon. 7 Tachyon targets will go into that in the extra deck, but you have quite a bit. And then triple Chaotic Elements. Just remember that this card can be hit by Ghost Spell as well, because it adds from the graveyard. But people kind of forget. They're like, oh, what do? You add Aqua, Pyro, Light Darks, which is just 2 monsters in the deck. But if you have 3 names in the graveyard, that means, or not names, but you have 3 copies of like Pyros and Aquas. You also non-target destroy card. That comes up more than you think when you play your second copy or you top deck into it in a pure build. Triple copies of Case for K9. It's self-explanatory. It's literally the search card. And we play 1 LC Release Restraint, we 1 Force Release, and we have the EW Special Release Experiment. This is a card that you should probably try to fetch for, especially if you're under Mold Charmy, because this is now a 1-card full-on Xyz. Like, it goes into Werewolf, it shortcuts into Werewolf. You can do this even before the main phase, which throws people off a lot. And then you can save your explosion on your opponent later on. And the LC Restraint can turn any of your other rank 5s. It doesn't have to be just K9. It can turn your other rank 5s into a K9, which is really useful. And these 2 are any timing. I've surprised a lot of people with an OTK coming from Release Restraint because I have made Jax to pop off a problem card, and then I go into battle phase, take a swing, and then put this a werewolf on top, and I swing for like 8,000 straight to the face. So just keep that in mind. That is your win con, and it gives you the flexibility, especially when you can put at least 2 of these on board. If you put this on board, that will always make one of these other ones live, especially if they've already answered the board, layering your disruption. As for the rest of this is just essentially just 12 hand traps, so including the Izuna, it's a total of 15. You have triple Ash. Okay. You have the standard triple Droll because it's very Mitsu heavy right now. Triple Fua. And finally, triple Ghost Bell. That's it. That's the entire main deck. As for the extra deck, okay, here's my extra deck, and this is completely packed. I don't think there's anything I can change out of it. I have 2 copies of Ripper, 1 Jax, and 1 Werewolf. I really want to put in a Hound because of the trap card. A standby phase Hound can just rip apart your opponent's board because it's just so hard to interact with it, and it also banishes a card, if you guys didn't know. And then there's Ripper. I kind of also want to play Pot of Avarice because I keep on throwing everything to the graveyard. It has gone to the point where I ran out, but you know, that's probably because I played poorly. And then here we have the Imperial Princess King Query. Note that this card is not only just for summoning out Mjolnir, but it's also to summon back your follow-up. Sometimes you only end with this and a Mjolnir on your opponent's side, and your opponent can't really do anything, but neither can you. You leave the last material, you don't Mjolnir lock him again, you summon back Jokul and you full combo your opponent. That's what this is for. I see people just making this and try to keep on locking them. This still revives level 5s. Just don't forget that. And then there's 1 Nash Knight and there's 1 Sea Nash Knight. You still need to play this. There are alternative lines which forces me to put up the Dagda, but I don't have anything else to activate. So instead, I make Nash Knight. Nash Knight's activation puts the Dagda activation and sets up the Mjolnir, and then you can go to C104 to pop it, and then you can finish it off with, like, if you held onto your lantern or you left your guy in the graveyard, like your Lupus, you can summon things back. You can work your way into just rebuilding the last piece, get the Conqueror and summon it to their side. This is an alternative line, that's why you still have to play this. And not to mention, if you do that line, they're looking down almost an impossible play to break. As for the materials in 7 Tachyon, we have Masquerade Package, we have C107. I'm playing C107 as an out to the Lunalight package, because if they put a Liger Dancer, I want to be able to not summon this, but use this as a search option to search out my Thunder King Kaiju. If I can search out Thunder King Kaiju and just tribute it off, so it just makes it a lot easier, making 7 Tachyon a valuable card in the deck, even post-side. It's just an option that I need. Otherwise, if you can answer one and maybe evenly them, and I do play evenly in my sideboard. My whole sideboard is just destruction and removal, like mass removal base. That's most of the focus, and that and floodgates. So then there's the 7th, the Tachyon, and then I'm also playing 1 Magna Infinity to add the card into my hand. I don't know if I really want to do it. Half the time I don't even want to do it because I typically go for the Umbral Horror and I search for the Cosmo Dark Lady, making my play a lot safer. At least I can establish something that has levels of negations against my opponent. And that would be the 7 Tachyon / Nash Knight package. And then we have 1 Valon, which is invaluable for the Book of Mooning effect. And as for the extra deck, this is how we get to the locking. We have 1 Dagda, obviously, to set up the Mjolnir. We have 1 Azalea. That's how we pop it. This just requires light and dark, which makes it super easy because this is already a light. This is already on board when the Mjolnir is there. And then you can use this as a link material combined with either a Jokul or a Lantern, and boom, you have Azalea. Azalea pops the card. This probably sends itself because you don't have enough spells. And then you summon out 2 5s. Your opponent's locked out. Okay, and the last one is Saryuja for digging out all of those nasty side cards when you go first, games 2 and 3. Otherwise, you can still do it. It's just not as valuable doing it in game 1, considering that the main deck does not have that many disruptions unless you're really just digging for these cards, because these are the reasons why you win the game. Here's the 1 card Mjolnir. So start off with the normal summon of Noroi, considering your opponent has more than 2 cards in their hand. Effect, special summon out to Jokul. Jokul effect, as long as you don't get disrupted here, you can add the Lantern. This is a bit of a Droll check. If they don't Droll you here, they definitely don't have Droll. If they have Droll, make 2 Xyz, play with whatever you have here. Next, You overlay the two while you're under the lock of Noroi, so you're stuck under K9s. You can make the Ripper. Ripper will detach the Noroi, and this is going to add your copy of Jokul into hand. This part still kind of looks like the yugioh combo. We're going to activate the Lantern, summon out the Noroi, and then we're going to activate the Lantern to add the case for K9. So at this point, you can do the hand check. This is where you have to be smart. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to make the combo no matter what. No, this is the part where you kind of get yourself a bit of a check. So you can go for the case for K9, and you activate the effect, and you get yourself a copy of Izuna. It's important that you get Jokul and Izuna here, because if you don't, you're going to miss the opportunity to lock your opponent out. Now you're going to use the Noroi to send the case for K9. You get that beautiful peek at your opponent's hand. If you see that they have all the starters in the world, Forbidden Droplet, all 9 yards, then you obviously don't want them to play the game. So you would sacrifice the Ripper, because the Ripper is not going to do anything. You don't even have the back row to kind of back it up. You can dig for more cards, but are you really going to be able to get stuff that stops them from playing pure K9? Let's be real. You just want to lock them out, and you just want to win the game to go to game 2 so that you can play your board breakers in the side so that they have to kind of guess what you're doing. So once you get to this particular point, what you have to do is you have to get rid of your own Ripper, and you get rid of your own Noroi. Okay, you use these two, and you special summon out your Dagda. Next, you're going to activate the effect of Jokul, and you're going to summon out your Izuna. Izuna, effect Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Dagda. As long as you know that you're not getting disrupted here, you're going to get yourself the Dagda set, and you also get yourself Lupus into the graveyard. Alright, what do you do next? Next, you take your Lantern and your Dagda, special summon into a Sky Striker. This Sky Striker requires two light and or dark monsters. So we'll use a light and a dark. Azalea on summon. We'll use that to pop the back row, and that because we don't have enough spell cards, this has to hit the graveyard as well. The reason why this is all okay is because the Mjolnir lock is so strong that it doesn't even matter. It justifies itself anyway. Taking the last two monsters here, and there you have it, Imperial Princess Quinqueri, and then I can activate Quinqueri effect, detach, summon out the Mjolnir to the opponent's side of the field, making it very annoying for them to try to play through your board because they can't special summon, and trying to beat over something 28 while not being able to special summon is quite the hard feat. And even if somehow they manage to get rid of this, you can resummon it onto their side. But the better thing to do is that you have to hope that your last 4 cards in your hand are engine or stuff to disrupt them even further. If you can keep this alive onto your turn, you can detach it to summon back, well, the Jokul. And I can use Jokul to reset your full combo and go for the OTK. That's essentially what the Noroi combo is for. So that's the basic foundation of a very basic one. Now let's look at some better plays. So the other combo in the deck is using Jokul with the Dark Lady, and this is like the best start, which is why I'm considering more copies of this card because it's wonderful. If you have a 3-card combo, which is involving with like a 7th attack count, you have an extra copy of it, then you can use this to search for your Mjolnir. And then you can set it and pop it without even going into any of your links, because that's why it's busted. I'll show you that in a second. Let's say we had to search for Dark Lady instead. If we don't get drolled here, then you can go Jokul with the Dark Lady, special summon out both. Using Jokul's effect, add the Noroi. We're taking a step back from just locking our opponent. We're going to play a regular game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that's what some of you guys want to do. We're going to normal summon out the Noroi effect. And once we get to the Noroi effect, we're going to summon out the Lantern. Lantern is going to fetch us a search for the case of K9. And from here, we have to use the Lantern as a material. I want to still hand check my opponent, so I'm going to take our Jokul and our Lantern and proceed to make a Ripper onto the field. Now we have double negate. We can detach the Jokul, okay, and using that, we're going to use it to fetch the trap. The trap lets you play against your opponent. It lets you make a quick exceed against your opponent during their turn, really kind of annoying them overall, and lets you keep at least one of your back row live against your opponent. Otherwise, you either lose the Ripper and then you lose most of your disruption line. You're gonna diversify by doing this. Okay, now you can activate the case for K9. Case for K9 can add a second copy of your Lantern. You haven't used Lantern yet because you special summon your first Lantern from Noroi, and you can now use Noroi to kind of hand check your opponent if you want to. But you should really just send the Noroi rather than sending case for K9. You need to pop this case for K9 so that you can get another K9 quick play onto the board. So at this point, you can hand check them first. Take a look just to make sure that you're overall just going to be safe from most things. You're not going to get ghost spell. You're not going to get hit by most things because you have double negate here, making double hand trap kind of worthless already. And so we're going to activate the lantern, special summon back, I don't know, the Noroi. Sure. Overlay the two. We're going to pop this. So we have to make our Nash Knight. We're going to use the Nash Knight effect, detach. We're not absorbing anything. Instead, what we are doing is that we're going to set up our Masquerade so that we're going to punish your opponent for even trying to make any additional play against you. And then we're going to stack the Chaos Nash Knight. We're going to detach the regular Nash Knight from the material and summon out our Umbral Horror. And our Umbral Horror is going to pop our case for K9, and this is going to allow you to set onto the field a forced release. Okay. So this board seems a little unassuming. You still have 3 other cards in your hand to play with. If you have additional hand traps, that kind of stuns your opponent quite a bit because Ripper can stop something from the hand. So it can stop like Mitsurugi-based plays. But at the start of your opponent's turn, what you should be doing is probably getting yourself a bit of a hand rip and a bit of a hand check by activating the K9 EW. You special summon back one of your guys from the graveyard, say a Jokul for instance, or you go for Noroi if you want to be safe from like the Bestials, and then immediately overlay that into your Werewolf. Now you have both Werewolf and Ripper on the board at the same time, so you don't have to pick and choose anymore. This makes life so much harder for them because their first activation, unless it's a droplet, they are going to suffer quite a bit. And even if they hit you with a droplet, you still have your force release. But looking at the negations available here, you have a hand rip and a hand check, a second hand check if you need the additional hand check, but you already checked them, so you know what you need to rip out of their hand. So you have the Werewolf to handle one card in their hand. You have a Ripper to handle another card in the hand, so you kind of leave some of the hand activation just for the Ripper. And then you have Umbral Horror for any on-field activation and rip another card out of their hand. Yeah, it seems like we're doing a bit of a hand ripping here. And they have Dark Lady to negate a monster effect in case they do continue to push. In any case, if you peek that your opponent's hand has like Lightning Storm or anything like that, you could summon most things in defense mode. In fact, everything here could have been summoned in defense mode, and it would really annoy your opponent considering that they get nothing to do, and they would have to immediately Lightning Storm your back row instead, which would only be one card. But again, not everyone wants to play Yu-Gi-Oh with the opponent. They want to play Solitaire, so here's how you play Solitaire with the same hand. So you do the same Jokul and Dark Lady, making it a bit safer because it's just way harder to hand trap now. With the Jokul effect, you get yourself the Surge, again, of Noroi. You have a normal summon, Noroi effect, get yourself the Lantern effect, get yourself a case for K9. Okay, you saved this case for K9 for later, but this card needs to be moved off of the field, and you can probably save that for another activation. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna take these, overlay them, and we get ourselves into our first Ripper. Ripper on board. Okay, this is my hand. We're going to detach our Noroi, and we're going to use that to fetch for another Lantern. From here, you can make it pretty safe. You do have to get rid of this Ripper now, so you can get rid of it with a Jokul if you want. Alright, Jokul on the Ripper. Cool. And you can use that to make a Dagda. You still have Dark Lady on the board, so it's still like not that bad. Activate case for K9, chain the Dagda, and now we can throw the hammer at the opponent again by setting it onto the field. Alright. This essentially is just your way to kind of act as one of these cards. So we set up the Mjolnir. We can now get ourselves an Izuna. That's great. Activate the effect of our Lantern, and we're going to use that to fetch back our Noroi. We haven't peeked at our opponent's hand yet, and I really want to get a quick peek at it anyway. So Noroi effect, we can take a look just to make sure that the line is safe overall. If it's not safe, you have Izuna, you have the Dagda, but this is not really going to lead up pretty well because if they just leave your board alone, this card will blow itself up and summon during the opponent's turn and lock you out during your own turn. So you're already kind of all in at this point. And from here, you've looked at your opponent's hand. If it's a safe way to go, just do it. If you see like Ghost Bell, you can force him to burn it if you want to, but usually Dark Lady kind of makes life a little bit safer. But here we go. We gotta crack this card, so we're gonna take the Lantern. And once we take the Lantern and push into our Azalea effect, we're gonna pop our own copy of Mjolnir. And hopefully your opponent didn't activate any cards in between, because if they ever activate a card, the Izuna that you search into your hand will extend and just complete the combo regardless. For now, you can take these two. And welcome back, Quinquiri effect, detach the Noroi, and you get to summon up the Mjolnir back onto their side of the field. Yes, you committed quite a few cards. This is what you have left in your hand. Like 3 additional cards. You have the Izuna, so you have Disruption Play in case you do need it. 9 times out of 10, you probably won't, because their opponent can't activate anything, and if they do, well, it doesn't really matter. They're under Mjolnir. And to finish it all off, here's another alternative line with Jokul. If you have 7th Tachyon and you want to lock your opponent out without committing too many resources and not touching the links, well, here's how you do it. And this is Jokul and definitely not Case for K9, because if it was Case for K9, you're definitely going for Noroi and not Jokul. So it's definitely not Case for K9, so this is a blank card. And if you have Foolish Burial, well, your combo gets cut short midway, because you're going to lock your opponent out before the 5th summon anyway. So it's definitely not these 2 cards. So say you started off with this particular hand. You would have to start with a Jokul into Dark Lady as your first summon, because if you summon out these 2, now you at least get to insulate yourself for 1 hand trap at the very least. And before you kind of lock yourself out, it's very annoying for your opponent, because anything you add on top now is extra and is also free. So starting off with a 7th Tachyon here. If you get a 7th Tachyon, reveal to your opponent the light monster, or rather the fairy monster, and they're definitely not gonna like this, Ragna Infinity. So with Ragna Infinity, you show this, you get yourself a level 5 fairy, and that level 5 fairy is none other than that hammer that you're gonna huck at your opponent. Again, it's Mjolnir. It's Mjolnir, and you put back a card to the top of the deck. Okay, you are locked out of going into links. So what you're gonna have to do now is you activate the Jokul, get the Noroi, summon out the Noroi, and from Noroi you get yourself the Lantern. And because this card's in your hand, guess what you can do? You can set it onto the field, because it's an artifact monster. Alright? So all you gotta do is pop the card down. It's not really that difficult. Activate Lantern effect. Lantern can help now fetch out one of your... I guess we'll fetch out this. We got a Case for K9. Just for lack of a better card, I'm just gonna put this as the other card in hand. Add the Case for K9. You don't need to proc a Dagda anymore, so you essentially can just activate the Case for K9 just for the sake of it, and add to your hand another copy of Lantern, because you haven't used Lantern just yet. From here, we're still locked under the Noroi effect, so we have to get rid of it by using Jokul and Lantern and making ourselves a Ripper. Ripper effect, detach, use that to help us fetch for Izuna. Alright, so more or less these are the cards in hand. We have the artifact Mjolnir. Let's just keep this face up. This is the card that we've set onto the field so far. We can activate the Lantern. Special summon back the Jokul. You can now overlay the Jokul into our Nash Knight. Nash Knight effect, detach both, and that sets it up for our 104. Overlay on top of that into Nash Knight, and then detach the Nash Knight. Summon out Masquerade, pop the Mjolnir. We have this setup. You can now overlay these two into our copy of Query. Query detach, summon Mjolnir to the opponent's side of the field. And there you have it. The board is super annoying, and you have probably more than what you need to deal with your opponent. But that's how you can do it without touching any of the link monsters if you are stuck under 7th Tachyon. And I am not showcasing the Foolish Burial based combo. You guys should be able to insert this card into any line, just like, and all of a sudden there is a Mjolnir on the opponent's side of the field for free, right? You guys can figure that out all on your own. But regarding the format, why am I hucking hammers at my opponent? Well, if my opponent is locking me out with Protos, Fossil Dyna, and all sorts of kind of lockout blowout, then I should be able to retaliate all the same. An eye for an eye, to each their own, and all of a sudden, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has now become much more die-rolly. And me showcasing Noroi being a one-card combo that can also isolate the same thing is probably worth it. I know someone's in the comments like, oh, you gotta get hand trap, but the thing is, you can diversify. I told you, you don't have to blindly follow the combo. You see the hand traps already there, then you play around it and build a board that disrupts your opponent enough to the point that they can't win. You have hand knowledge. That's like one of the most busted things about Triple Tactics talent, is that you get to look at their hand and adjust the board so that you can disrupt the correct cards, and this is the card that allows you to do it strictly within K9. That's all I have for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. Check out Genesis. I'm a sucker for Genesis right now. It's so fun, and it doesn't require you to pay the price of 20 bajillion hand traps to play your deck. You just have to pay for points, which probably will get updated soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.